President Trump just said something that has MAGA reeling, and honestly, it should have everyone reeling. He said we need to welcome 500,000 Chinese students into American colleges and universities. His reasoning? These schools need the money. They'll fail without them. My response? Good. Let them fail. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you're going to agree.
As far as the students, it's 500,000 students. They come, good students. I could tell them, I don't want any students, is a very insulting thing to say to a country. They would then immediately go out and start building universities all over China. But if you don't have those students, good students, by the way, if you don't, and we do another thing, you know, if they're good and they want to stay in America, we won't give them a green card and things like that. You know, and that not only them, but other countries. But if you want to see a university system die, take 500,000 people out of it.
Now, I know that I just showed you the video, but I'm going to tell you the quote again. I'm going to paraphrase this time. I could tell them I don't want any students, but these are great students. We need them, President Trump said. Great students, sure, but whose interest are we serving here? Let's be clear about what's actually being proposed. 500,000 students from China, the same country that the FBI opens a new counterintelligence investigation on every 12 hours. The same country with over 2,000 active espionage cases on U.S. soil at any given time. And Trump's answer to that is, yeah, but the universities need the tuition money. Now, the pro side of this argument goes like this. American universities are struggling. 40 to 50 colleges close or merge every single year. Up to 440 private nonprofit schools are considered highly vulnerable. Some models say 80 schools could fail per year going forward. And they're right. The numbers are real. But here's my one-liner for that. If your business model requires importing 500,000 students from a hostile foreign nation just to keep the lights on, your business model deserves to go dark. These universities spent decades bloating their administrations, jacking up tuition prices, building luxury dorms in lazy rivers, and hiring armies of DEI consultants while actual academic quality collapsed. And now, when the bill comes due, the answer is ship in Chinese students? No, absolutely not. If you can't stand on your own, you should fail. That's how markets work, unless you're a university, apparently. We don't bail out failing restaurants by importing foreign customers. We don't save struggling car dealerships by handing them government-mandated buyers. But somehow, when it's a university with a fancy name and an ivy-covered building, the rules change? Fail, merge, close, adapt, but don't use Chinese Communist Party connected students as your financial life raft. Now let's talk about what happens when these students graduate. Between 83 and 90% of Chinese doctoral students in science and engineering fields at U.S. universities stay in the United States to work in research, academia, and private industry. Now, some will say, great, brain gain. We keep the talent. But let's apply some common sense here. The FBI has over 2,000 active China-related counterintelligence cases open right now. They open a new one every 12 hours. The Ministry of State Security, China's intelligence arm, is estimated to employ hundreds of thousands of people globally, with the United States as its primary target. Do you think they're not recruiting on American campuses? Here's a confirmed case for you. Eileen Wang, mayor of Arcadia, California, just pleaded guilty to secretly acting as an illegal agent of the Chinese government. She ran a fake news website to push pro-Beijing propaganda to Chinese Americans. Her former fiancé and campaign advisor also pleaded guilty to being a Chinese foreign agent. He went to federal prison. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is federal court documents. and President Trump wants to bring in 500,000 more. Now, I'm obviously not saying that every Chinese student is a spy. That would be unfair and inaccurate. But I am saying this. We have no reliable way to vet 500,000 people from a nation that is actively running the most aggressive espionage campaign in American history. At what point does benefit of the doubt become national suicide? And while we're on the subject of China's footprint in America, let's talk about land.
There is Chinese ownership of all kinds of assets in the United States that pose a range of national security threats, some of which we've begun to kind of recognize and mitigate in recent years, and some of which I think we need a lot more work to recognize and to address through policy.
Chinese entities currently own roughly 384,000 acres of American agricultural land. In Texas, North Carolina, Missouri, Utah, and Virginia, one of the most alarming cases, the Fu Fang Group purchased 370 acres in North Dakota, right next to a U.S. Air Force base. Now, China owns less than 1% of all foreign-held U.S. farmland. Canada owns about 32% of it. So in raw numbers, it's still relatively small. But here's the thing about the land purchases. Government investigators have admitted that the tracking system for foreign land ownership is slow, meaning that purchases can go unrecorded. We may not even know what we don't know. So we have a country that is buying land next to our military bases, has hundreds of proxies operating on U.S. soil, has open FBI counterintelligence files on them open every 12 hours, and just had a sitting mayor plead guilty to being their foreign agent. And this proposal is to flood our universities with 500,000 of their students. If this were any other adversarial nation, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Here's what nobody's talking about in this debate. Every seat filled by a foreign student is a seat not filled by an American kid. There are roughly 3,600 degree-granting colleges and universities in the United States. 2,600 of those are four-year schools. 1,300 of them are two-year community colleges. We already host over 1.2 million international students, and now the proposal is to add 500,000 more from a single country. Ask yourself this question. Who gets pushed out? Who gets waitlisted? Whose application goes in the no pile because a school needed the full international tuition? Because Chinese international students pay full freight. No financial aid, no scholarships. They are cash cows for struggling universities. And struggling universities will take that cash every time over a deserving American kid who needs aid. We are literally selling the American university seats to the children of our primary geopolitical adversary because our universities are too bloated and mismanaged to survive otherwise. And again, my answer is the same. If the only way your school survives is by selling spots to foreign nationalists over American kids, your school should be closed. Look, I want to reiterate here. Not every Chinese student is a spy. Not every international student is a threat. And yes, some of these universities will fail without this revenue, and that's going to be painful for some communities. But here's the truth. America built the greatest university system in the world, and over the last 30 years, university administrators ran them into the ground with waste, ideology, and financial mismanagement. They created the enrollment cliff. They created the dependency on international tuition. They made the bed, and they must lie in it. Because the alternative, importing 500,000 students from the country that the FBI calls its single greatest national security threat, is not a solution. It's surrender dressed up in a cap and gown. If you think American universities should stand on American students, American funding, and American values, share this video. And if you think 500,000 Chinese students are the answer to our higher education crisis, I'd love to hear your argument in the comments. I'm not holding my breath.